was a slow day, and the last thing I did before locking the door was place my phone on the charger beside my bed, screen facing down, just like always. That Friday night was like any other. I'd ordered Chinese, cleaned up, and turned in early. The quiet was comforting. No roommates, no guests, just me, a streaming series I wasn't really watching, and a chilly October breeze that seeped through the old windows of my rented house. I remember lying there, half asleep, when I heard the softest sound of fabric brushing against wood. Nothing dramatic, just a faint shift, like clothes dragging across the floor. I told myself it was probably the heating kicking in and the air pushing something lightweight, a shirt maybe or a plastic bag. But I checked anyway. I walked through the house. Living room, empty. Kitchen, normal. Bathroom light, still flickering like always. My heart slowed. I felt silly. I even laughed a little, but the feeling didn't go away. That way in my chest. It lingered like the silence after an argument. Tight, cold, unfinished. The next morning, I noticed something off. Very small, but enough. The hand towel in the kitchen had been folded. I don't fold it. I always toss it over the oven handle. It's a stupid detail, but that's what made it so unnerving. I lived alone. No one had been over in days. Nothing else seemed out of place, so I shrugged it off as me being tired. Sunday night, things got worse. I just got out of the shower when I saw it. Footprints. Damp, faint, but unmistakable. Not mine. Too wide. Too long. They trailed from the hallway toward my bedroom. My wet feet were still in the bathroom. I stood there, wrapped in a towel, heart racing so hard I felt lightheaded. I didn't call the cops. I wish I had. Instead, I went room to room with a kitchen knife, checking every closet, under every bed, behind every door. Nothing. Every window was locked. No signs of forced entry. Eventually, I convinced myself they must have been mine from earlier, distorted by my own panic. I cleaned them up and didn't sleep that night. Then came the twist. On Tuesday, I came home early from work. I wasn't supposed to. My team lead canceled our meeting last minute. I pulled in the driveway around 2:15 p.m. The neighborhood was quiet. School hadn't let out yet. Most people were still at work. As I unlocked the door, I noticed the faint creak of floorboards inside. A step, maybe two. I froze. Then I did something I still don't understand. I stepped back silently, closed the door without a sound, and walked back to my car. From there, I called 911. They arrived in under 10 minutes. Four officers entered the house while I waited outside, heart thudding in my throat. They came out with a man, mid-30s, pale, thin, dressed in a black hoodie and jeans. His face was oddly calm, almost smug. He'd been living in the attic crawl space above my bedroom. A sleeping bag, water bottles, snack wrappers, and a small notebook were found with him. Here's where everything spiraled. The notebook was filled with details. My daily schedule, when I left for work, when I showered, what I watched on TV, what time I turned the lights off. He even knew I sometimes forgot to lock the back window on laundry days. But one page stood out. It had dates and plans. Friday watch, Saturday, test reaction, Sunday, enter while she sleeps, Tuesday, finish it, Tuesday, the day I came home early. He had no weapon on him, no clear motive. He claimed he was just watching, but the way he documented everything, the obsession, the precision, was enough to make the cops take it seriously. I moved out 2 days later, broke my lease, never went back. The scariest part wasn't that someone was in my house. It was that he knew me better than anyone else did. My routines, my habits, my weaknesses. He watched me long enough to feel like I belonged to him. And if my meeting hadn't been canceled that day, I don't let myself finish that thought anymore. I lock everything now. Every window, every vent. I check closets twice. Not because I'm paranoid, because once I wasn't. It started with the dog barking at the back door, low and steady, the kind of growl she only used when she was afraid. I was house sitting for my aunt in a quiet suburb just outside town. A safe enough place to leave your doors unlocked during the day, she'd said. I was 17, thrilled to have a weekend to myself. Netflix, junk food, no one to answer to. My aunt's German Shepherd, Tessa, was my only company. It was around 8:40 p.m. on a Friday when I first noticed something was off. I was curled up on the couch, lights low, halfway through a movie when Tessa suddenly stood and stared toward the back patio. Her ears perked up, body tense. Then she growled. I paused the movie. Probably a raccoon, I mumbled, standing up and peeking out. The porch light flickered to life, bathing the backyard in a warm glow. Nothing moved. No rustling. No animals. Just the tall wooden fence and swaying branches. I turned back inside, dismissing it, until she barked again, this time louder, sharper. I locked the sliding door. A little rattled, I checked the rest of the house. Front door, locked. Windows, closed and latched. Tessa followed me everywhere, never once relaxing. I tried returning to the movie, but the feeling in my stomach had changed. That subtle, creeping awareness that something wasn't right. At 9:17 p.m., there was a knock at the front door. Not a ring of the bell. A knock. 3 slow, deliberate thuds. I froze. Tessa growled again, her body stiff, tail down. I waited a second, 2, then crept toward the door and looked through the peephole. No one. I waited longer than I'd like to admit before stepping away. I figured it was some prank, maybe teens from the neighborhood. Still, I went upstairs and texted my mom. Weird knock at the door. No one was there. Probably nothing. She replied, keep doors locked. Don't answer again. Call if it happens again. At 9:42 it did. This time, the knock came from the back door. I jumped, and so did Tessa, barking furiously now. I grabbed my phone and crept toward the kitchen. From the edge of the counter, I could see the glass sliding door. Nothing, at least from where I stood. But the motion light had turned on again. I took one slow step forward and stopped cold. There were muddy footprints on the patio, leading away from the door. Not toward it. I didn't open it. I didn't even try. I went to the front door and double-checked the deadbolt. Then I turned off all the lights in the house, except one in the upstairs hallway, and sat in the dark, listening. Everything was still. Then came the sound of gravel crunching in the driveway. I held my breath. Another knock, this time softer, almost polite, tapped against the side window. A narrow vertical pane beside the living room. Tessa barked again, but she was backing away now, tail tucked. I crouched behind the couch, heart slamming against my ribs. I dialed 911, but didn't hit call. Not yet. What would I say? There was no break-in, no face, just sound. Footsteps now, moving deliberately along the side of the house. And then they stopped. It felt like 10 minutes passed, maybe more. I sat there frozen, hand clutched on my phone, staring toward the shadowed window. Tessa didn't move either. Eventually I stood, quietly, walked to the kitchen, grabbed the biggest knife I could find. At 10:27, headlights flooded the front window. I nearly dropped the knife. It was my uncle's car. He wasn't supposed to be back until Sunday night. He came inside, confused by the darkness, asking what happened. I told him everything. He searched the house, the yard, the side gates. Found nothing, but he believed me. Even showed me the camera feed from the doorbell cam the next morning. No one ever came to the front door. But that wasn't the twist. The twist came Sunday night, when my aunt returned and asked why we'd moved the garage ladder. We hadn't. She led us to the side of the house where a metal ladder, usually stored in the garage, was leaning against the sidewall beneath the second-floor bathroom window. The window I had cracked open for air before my shower that night. The one I forgot to close. There were fingerprints on the glass, and a fresh scratch in the paint beside it. We called the police. They found no one. No prints matched anything in the system. The ladder was dusted, the window too. But that wasn't what chilled me. The officer pointed out something I hadn't noticed. The ladder had been propped under the window backward, rungs facing the house, meaning it had been used to climb down, not up. Whoever it was, they had already been inside.